Hey guys, it's Meow Hikes here, and today I wanted to talk about the gear items that I have that have lasted the longest. Out of all my ultralight gear, these are the items that have done exceptionally well over the Appalachian Trail, Pacific Crest Trail, Long Trail, and many other hikes in between. So let's go ahead and kick it off with the first item, which is going to be the Melanzana microgrid hoodie. Now this one is not mine. This one is my girlfriend Maddie's, so hers is definitely much softer, much more comfortable to live in. However, I have used this for the Pacific Crest Trail and the Appalachian Trail, plus many other hikes in between, so it's got to have somewhere close to 6,000 miles on it now. The things that I don't like about it, I've already addressed in another video. I can go ahead and tag that up here. Will I be continuing to use this? Not really. I'm actually going to be using the Senchi Designs Alpha hoodie instead. So, lasted about 6,000 miles, but I think I'm ready to kind of move on from it. The next piece is actually going to be these leggings here. Now, these are very, very thin, see-through leggings from Montbell. This is from their Zeo line. They're their synthetics, and these are the lightweights. So these I have also used on both Pacific Crest Trail, Appalachian Trail, plenty of other hikes in between. There's a bit of wear on them. There's some runs in the legs, and however, I've found these to be excellent for me, and I'm going to continue to use these and take these even onto the CDT if they don't fall apart first. I could see myself switching to something else if it had similar warmth for less weight, but at 3.6 ounces, these guys aren't too bad, and they've really held up for what it's worth. So the next item that I have here gets a lot of flack actually, and that's the Montbell Tachyon pants. These things are very, very thin. They're only a 7D fabric. They serve as a wind pant, not as a rain pant, but they're very, very light. These come in at 1.6 ounces, and yes, I have used this same pair for the Appalachian Trail, Pacific Crest Trail, many other trails, and they're still kicking. I will say, however, they're starting to fall apart. So you can see here on the crotch, it's blown out. I've got some holes in them that I've patched up with some duct tape. The bottom adjustment down here is kind of starting to split. As a matter of fact, on this other pant leg, it is completely ripped out and it's just kind of sitting open now. And I have also taped the seam on this guy. So these have lasted, again, somewhere around the 6,000 mile range. Love these things. They weigh not much at all, and very happy with them. So these will continue to go with me on future hikes. So those are the items, and it's a very small list, but those are the items that have lasted through both the Appalachian Trail, Pacific Crest Trail, plus some miles. But I do have a lot of honorable mentions here, and I wanted to bring those up for you. So let's go ahead and get into that. First one is going to be the Gossamer Gear LT4. Now, the LT4 is no longer offered by Gossamer Gear. They replaced it with the LT5, which is a 3-section pole instead of a 2-section pole. Now, I've used this for the Pacific Crest Trail plus at least somewhere around 500 miles, so these have gone at least 3,000, and they're still kicking. The things that I will say that have kind of gone wrong is really just the adjustment point on here. Over time, I feel like it's just gotten dirty, just gotten kind of scuffed up and things. So there are times when I'm trying to readjust the pole that it won't quite catch, and I have to just open it up, kind of twist it to get it started, and then I can slide it down and twist it back into place, and it locks up nicely. So other than that drawback, these have been excellent poles for me. They're extremely light. They've been such a joy to use. And anybody who watches my videos knows that I like to do a lot of different trekking pole tricks and things like that. And I like that there's no hardware in the way here when I'm trying to flip around and be a dingus on trail. So one other thing I might add is definitely swap out the tips. The tips that I had on here only lasted about 200 miles before they started getting extremely worn down. I've put some black diamond tips on here instead, and these ones in particular have been going, I would say, probably about 2,000 plus miles. Gossamer Gear LT4. So next up is my Etowah tarp. It's a 7x9 tarp that I used on the Pacific Crest Trail. It's made out of .51 DCF, and this thing has held up well. It was cheaper than the Z-Packs option, plus on top of that I had the ability to customize my tie-outs around the edges as well as underneath or on top to make sure that I can set up my tarp in all the ways that I want to. Originally it cost me $200, and the owner of Etowah informed me that they unfortunately undercharged me. Unfortunate for them, not for me, but I've been extremely happy with it. Myself and Nick have gone to certain campsites, and while there's no space to be able to pitch a tent anywhere, there's definitely space to pitch a tarp. So it's been really nice to have. Okay, last on the 3,000 plus mile is going to be my rain jacket, which is the Montbell Versalite rain jacket. Again, I use this on the PCT. It's still going strong. This has been my favorite rain jacket so far. I feel like the fabric really does breathe better than other options that I've used. Plus on top of that, it does have huge pit zips that allow you to vent out. It does have these nice big front pockets, and it does have a hem cinch down here in the bottom. It also does have hood adjustments. You have them up here in the front to adjust here. You have it in the back to adjust around here. And then you have this guy here to adjust the back as well. So you can really kind of customize the shape of the hood. Now, one drawback that I will say about this is after a through hike, I was noticing in the shoulder area that I have kind of some delamination going on. For $200, having a delamination issue like that kind of sucks. However, there aren't any holes that have popped through the Gore-Tex, so I've still been able to use this rain jacket without any issues. However, I'm going to, in a sense, retire this by giving this to my girlfriend. She's going to continue to use this rain jacket, and I went ahead and bought another Versalite. But yeah, it served me well. It's just been my favorite rain jacket that I've used so far, and I don't really see a need to switch to anything else yet. So those are the items that have gone at least 3,000 miles, and now I have some other honorable mentions that I'd like to bring up to you guys. So let's go ahead and dig into them. First up is going to be Katabatic quilts, and this is just in general. The reason why it wasn't added onto any of those other lists is because on the PCT, I swapped out between multiple different quilts, so combined they have well over 3,000 miles. However, no one single quilt has that much on it, so I didn't want to add it into the list of the other ones. So I have Katabatics 40 degree, 30 degree, 22, and 15. I got the whole lineup. I made a video comparing them to Enlightened Equipment a little while ago. You can check that out up here. However, their stuff just works for me. I've checked out a lot of other systems, and I just haven't been as happy as I am with Katabatic. So therefore I went ahead and got the whole lot. That being said, I will still continue to use these quilts until they die out, which I imagine won't be for another 10 years or so. So unless something super miraculous comes along and can possibly replace this, I don't see myself using anything else. And that's why it ends up on this list. The next honorable mention is going to be Red Paw's fanny packs. So I've used a lot of different renditions of them, and with each of them, honestly, they could last more than one through hike. I just chose to go with different colorways and different styles for different hikes coming up. This is one that I used attached to my Palante V2. It's got the V2 buckles on there so it could clip right into the hip belt. And then this is the one that I used on the long trail. I sewed this one myself in Matt's shop, and it just goes along with the pack that I sewed for that trail as well. I am extremely stubborn when it comes to putting things on like chapstick, sunscreen, bug spray, anything like that. I'd rather just keep moving. So when I have access to it in a fanny pack, it just makes it more likely that I'm actually going to use those items when I need to use them. So Red Paw fanny packs definitely need to go on the list. Next up is going to be these shorts. I took these on the Appalachian Trail. I still use them to this day. They are getting a little ratty in the backside here. However, these shorts, they are made by Champion. They're some women's running shorts that I picked up at a Goodwill. I think maybe $6, something like that, and they're still going strong. So that being said, I just wanted to point these out because you don't have to really spend a whole lot of money in order to get some decent running shorts that'll last you for an entire through. They have zippered pockets, which I absolutely love. Got them there and got them on this side. This side, the zipper is broken. It actually came that way, but the opening is big enough that I could still stick my phone in the pocket if I want to. One little side pocket for little trash, kind of like Jolly Rancher wrappers or something like that. But yeah, these shorts have lasted me, well, about at least 2,500 miles, and I still use them on backpacking trips day hikes and so forth. We'll continue to use them until they fall apart. So the next item I don't actually have with me, but it's going to be the gold toe nylon dress socks that you can get from Walmart. Now, I used a single pair of those socks on the Appalachian Trail for 1,700 miles, and they never got a hole in them. And there's a reason why I don't use them anymore. So, in a hotel room full of disgusting PCT hikers, I had those socks on my feet, took my shoes off, and pretty much 5 minutes later, everybody is like, "What is that smell?" And it's because those nylon dress socks, they just stunk. They stunk so bad. So just because of that reason, because my feet were stinking like hot garbage, I just decided not to use those anymore. And now I pretty much consistently use Darn Tough socks. Really, I just like them because when you pop holes in them and you're on trail sometimes, gear shops will go ahead and swap them out for you. And just for that reason alone, that's why I've been using these, and will continue to use these going forward. Another item that deserves to be on this list is the Ultra Lone Peak 3.5. Now, I've used these both on the Pacific Crest Trail, the Appalachian Trail, pretty much most of my through hiking or long distance hiking in general. I picked up a ton of these after my Appalachian Trail hike because each of my pairs were lasting between 800 and 900 miles, and these were the only ones that fit me. So with this model, they actually got the sizing off by half a size, and these are a men's 8. Normally I'm a 7.5, and Ultra doesn't actually offer a 7.5. So I picked up a ton of these. I still have about 5 pairs left. I'm gonna continue to use these until they're all gone, and then I'll have to find another shoe and we'll see how it goes from there. But the fact that these get generally 800 to 900 miles each time has been incredible for me. I have the same complaints that pretty much everybody else does. This little thing ends up getting unglued pretty quickly. They're honestly ugly as sin. I don't really like the way they look, but they've worked for me. And yeah, I'll continue to use them until I'm out of pairs, which will probably be in about a year or so. So, Ultra Lone Peak 3.5. Okay, very last one, and this one actually is kind of a shock to me, but underwear, okay? So these are some cheap JCPenney underwear by the company name of Rico, and both on the Appalachian Trail and Pacific Crest Trail, I used one pair for each trail. Never got any holes in them. They dry quickly. They're super comfortable. They don't really have all that great of support, and the only thing that happened to them by the very end is that the waistband ended up getting stretched out. After hiking in them for over 4 months, you kind of expect that to happen. So for some underwear that I used for that many miles, they did really well. Going forward though, I won't be using these. I'm actually trying out another pair that I like even more, and that is the 2 Under. Now these have a much more supportive junk area. They fit a little bit more comfortably, and to my surprise, on even 5 and 6 day trips that I've done just wearing these, they don't get a smell in them. I don't know what fabric material or whatever it is that they use in the crotch area, but I can genuinely wear these for 6 days and smell them, and they smell pretty close to clean, which is, again, very surprising. I don't recommend you do that at home. However, they do well. So these are going to be the ones that I'm using going forward. I'm going to test these out on my next hike. Haven't announced what that hike is yet, but I'll be using those on that hike, and yeah, I'll report back and see how they do. Alrighty guys, thank you for sticking all the way to the end. We have a whole pile of gear here that has been used for quite a long time. The whole idea that ultralight gear can't last, I think, is kind of overblown, and I think people are starting to see that more and more. I think it really comes down to how you treat your gear. And to be honest, I haven't been that easy on these items either. I just use my gear as I use it, and that's it. I don't really worry about it. I'll go ahead and leave links in the description box down below so you can purchase some of these items. Some of those links will be Amazon affiliate links, so if you do use those, obviously I get a kickback here on the channel, which helps me out plenty. So please use those whenever you can. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the next video.